The plan to expand I-35 in downtown Austin calls for expanded bridges called CAPS over the interstate to connect East and West Austin. Now, they're not just for walkers or drivers. They can also be home to parks, community spaces, or even businesses. Now, the CAPS could result in up to 11 acres of land that can be developed in that area. That's according to a recent article from Mike Christian from the Austin Business Journal. And he joins us now to explain if the Cap and Stitch program comes to I-35, what should be built over Austin's busiest highway. Fascinating article. There is a lot of information there. But at first I want to talk to you about the three prominent architects who you spoke with. And they had different ideas about how that land should be used. One theme that I realized was as a community space, to really develop a space for the community to use.
That's right. So for this article we put together, I was able to speak with Larry Speck at Page, Michael Waddell at Gensler, and excuse me, Jim Sussman over at STG Design. And all three of them came to the conclusion that this project should really ultimately be used to benefit the city as a whole and increase the basically the lifestyle that we're able to have here. So with that in mind, all three of them recommended that we use these caps and stitches to basically build more parkland, potentially have a community center that would celebrate the cultural heritage and history of the region, as well as like athletic fields that the people could use.
Okay, and then there was also another idea about affordable housing. One of the architects said that this is really essential for the health of the city of Austin to possibly build affordable housing in that area.
That's right. So like you mentioned, this project will basically create 11 new acres of real estate downtown that'll just sit on top of the highway. And with that, there's a potential to create new affordable housing. As we've seen, the cost of living has gone up dramatically these past few years, and it's a lot harder for folks who live in or work in downtown Austin to find a place to live in the area. So ultimately, it creates that opportunity, or potentially creates that opportunity, to live and work sort of right in the middle of downtown and to do so affordably. And that's especially with concern to essential roles, right? So folks who work as educators, or maybe with the fire department or the police department.
Okay, and then the architects also spoke about the project in terms of really mobility. They touched on public transit and then just walkability of the city. Is that something they're focused on as well?
Yeah, exactly. So really the key to this whole project is mobility. And when you look at it, not only is it a potential opportunity to build new bus stations or expand walkways and build new bike lanes across the city, it really develops a new path connecting the east and west side of the city, or basically the east side to the central business district downtown.
Okay, and Mike, this is probably the million-dollar question. Do we know when a decision will be made on how to use the land? Walk us through that process and when we could see this come to fruition if approved.
Yeah, so this is going to be a multi-year project. So that we're not looking at something coming up, weeks from now. This is really months, years ahead of the curve. And the project really as a whole is dependent on a state effort to actually lower I-35 and expand it a little bit, which would enable the city to go in and create those caps over the highway. To give you an idea of it, the state project, which is still kind of being rounded out, the kind of nuts and bolts are being figured out now, is set to begin in 2024, and that'll end in 2033.
Okay. And then just lastly, something that also stuck out to me in your article was there the possibility of a need for outside funding for this. Is that something that would be a possibility, or where would the money come from? Yeah,
exactly. That's a big question, right? So the state project that we talked about, so the actual renovation of I-35, that's going to cost about $7 billion. Now the Cap and Stitch program, which is supported and basically spearheaded by the city, that's going to cost about $300 million. So it is a little bit cheaper than the whole project itself, but it's still quite a sum of money. And when it comes to funding it, there is a potential that the city could apply for federal grants to make it happen. So, and the recent agreements were put together that I know you've reported on as well, that would enable that process.
Okay, all right, a lot to dig into in your article. We do have that at KXAN.com, along with our reporting as well that we've done here at KXAN. Thank you, Mike, so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.